With the draft getting closer and closer, are the Broncos showing signs of them switching their sights from one star running back to another? This is your Denver Sports Daily for April 16th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Now, a lot of the talk around Broncos country is Omari and Hampton when you're looking at running backs. But Ashton Jeanty is widely regarded as the number one running back in the draft. And in most mock drafts, again, the Broncos are projected to get Hampton with the 20th pick. Those same drafts typically have Jeanty earlier, much earlier in the top 10 most times. However, recently, in an interview with Overtime, Jeanty mentioned that the Broncos were the team that talked to him most during the combine. So that brings up the question. Should the Broncos trade up, and are they even thinking about trading up to secure a safe enough spot where they can land Ashton Jeanty? It's a crazy conversation to have. You know, Ashton Jeanty is one of those guys that was kind of off of Broncos fans' minds, and you would think that it was off of the front office's mind because he was higher up. He's projected to go in the top 10. You know, you see Cowboys, Raiders, those teams are the ones projected to grab Jeanty. So should the Broncos trade up? Short answer, no. It would be insane. It would be dumb. If they trade up, all they'll be doing is putting themselves back in a hole that they just tried so hard to dig out of. Losing draft capital is one thing the Broncos are no strangers to in recent years. It's insane. Do not trade up. Don't give up more draft capital when you don't need to. You know, especially if you're going to be trading up in the top 10. Do you know how expensive that is? That's just dumb. You don't go up there. You don't go out, year after year of giving up draft capital for people like Russell Wilson. And then as soon as there's a running back in the first round, you want to give up more draft capital. Don't. Choosing a running back that early in the draft still has a major stigma around it. I have that stigma. I don't like early running backs. And sure, Ashton Jeanty is a great player. He's great. He'll probably be one of the best running backs in the league in 4 years. Honestly, with the way you saw him in college, there's no doubt that this guy's going to be a star. But running backs are so dangerous. You just can't trust running back health. And trading up, giving up draft capital to move up 10 spots just doesn't seem like the smartest decision for the Broncos. Staying at pick number 20 and having a good chance at getting Omari and Hampton seems like a much better option in my eyes. The draft is only a week away from tomorrow, so surely more will come out in the next week as draft positions begin to solidify and, teams start to become more solid on what they actually want. They start to, come together and get a conformed opinion on where they actually want to go. Sure, people have their, the front office has who they want at one, who they actually, their first option, second, third, fourth, fifth, that kind of stuff. They've got all that planned for the first round. But for the Broncos, you could convince me much easier to trade out of the first round than you could convince me to trade up into the top 10 because it just doesn't seem like the right decision, especially for a running back. Now, the Avalanche are heading into this postseason in much better shape than they have in the past. If you remember last season, the Avs lost to the Dallas Stars in the Western semis when they were missing Gabe Landeskog and then Val Nichushkin. There was the whole drama there. And then this year, the Avs still have dealt with some injuries which held them back through certain parts of the season. However, as they enter the first round in Dallas, the Avs are looking like they are in great shape. The Avs held an optional practice yesterday, and every single member of the team showed up, including, but not limited to, Gabriel Landeskog, whose conditioning loan with the Colorado Eagles just finished up. That whole storyline, him going to the Colorado Eagles, the AHL, getting a goal. Did you see how much those tickets were going for? They were like $400 to go up to Loveland to see Gabe Landeskog take the ice again. And then, he scored a goal. It was so much fun to see him back on the ice. He really did look like a kid who was finally able to just go back out. School was out, summertime. That's how he looked. He was going to play with his friends. That's how it felt. He was able to get back on the ice, and he looked like he was having a great time. And then other players, Jonathan Drouin, Josh Manson, and Ross Colton were also in attendance, which is great news for them as they were dealing with some serious injuries, and they're looking to be back in the playoffs. This team is healthy. It's the exact type of news you want, not only as a fan, but for the team. They'll need to be at 100% if they want to compete and complete the revenge tour against Dallas. This is going to be a great first round matchup. Honestly, I couldn't ask for anything more. This is going to be peak cinema That's what it's going to be. Now, we don't know quite yet when the first game of the series will happen, but most are speculating that it'll take place on Saturday. I was seeing things about 5 p.m. on Saturday, and that's not confirmed or anything quite yet, but most likely Saturday. So we could get a Nuggets and Avalanche playoff game on Saturday, and I'll be talking about that. I cannot wait for Friday to preview some of the big things that are going to be taking place this weekend. Now, moving on, with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter leaving for the NFL, it seems unlikely that the offense will be able to remain the same at CU, but the offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, will attempt to keep it similar. The Buffs are 3 days away from their spring game, and Pat Shurmur took the stage before the upcoming matchup, stating his intent to run a similar offense as years past. He quoted, "There's going to be a lot of the same stuff from last year, but we've developed a lot of fun stuff for this season," Shurmur said. Last year, the Buffs ranked first in the Big 12 for passing touchdowns and passing yards. But how well will that same offensive scheme work this year? There are 2 big reasons that the pass game won't work as well as it did last year. And their names are Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And whether you like them or not, I get it. People are upset about the, retiring their numbers at CU. I get it. People don't think that Shedeur Sanders is a top 5 pick in the NFL. I don't get it. I don't get that at all. Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter were outstanding. What bigger word can I use for that? They were at the top of their game, some of the best collegiate athletes I've ever seen take the field. You looked at Shedeur Sanders, his numbers were outstanding. He should have been a Heisman qualifier, honestly, a finalist. He should have been, because Shedeur Sanders, what he did, especially with that offensive line, was insane. I can't even begin to, explain how incredible he was. And a lot of that also goes to Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, we've never seen a player play so well, first of all, on both sides of the ball. But if we can bring it down to offense, he was still one of the best receivers in the nation. And he was dominating not only on offense, but on defense. And the defense for Colorado is one thing. They might not be as well as other teams, but the offense is what carried their game. So to keep a similar game plan just doesn't seem like the best decision. Without their star QB, I'm doubtful that this team will be able to put up similar numbers. And on top of that, we don't even know who the QB1 will be. There's a position battle between Liberty transfer Caden Salter and 5-star freshman Julian Lewis. So who will start? Now, Caden Salter will most likely start. He's a transfer. He's got experience on this level, the collegiate level, playing college football. He's got experience. So that's where he'll probably beat out Julian Lewis. But Julian Lewis, the year after this upcoming one, he's going to be ready to go. Now, this upcoming spring game will be a good preview into what we may see next season, but don't be hopeful that there'll be the same kind of fireworks that we saw from this team last year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, CU, whether Shedeur and Travis are there or not, it's still got that same star power. Deion Sanders is still at the helm here, guys. So don't get too scared and fall off the bandwagon now, because this is where it's just starting to pick up. This is where you start to see a legacy get built. But that's going to do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow marks 1 week away from the 2025 draft. More news is going to come out. I'll be sure to bring it to you guys. And then, we got some big games this weekend. A lot of fun. Playoffs starting up. What more can you ask for? These past few months, best time of the year. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.